We are live. So welcome to Ballers and Briefs. Saturday after Thanksgiving, day after Black Friday.
Let's go.
November the 25th, week 12, Sunday outlook.
Hope everyone had a really good Thanksgiving. Got
Yes.
a good meal in. Maybe put on a couple of pounds. I feel like I put on a little bit. I've been eating a
Carbo
little pumpkin
overload.
pie. You know what I mean? I've been saving up though. I kind of was kind of diet and lightweight right leading up into it, just so I made sure I can have enough room. Not playing no games and only gonna have a small plate. But I'm hoping everyone else got that going and got that Black Friday. It wasn't really a lot of deals, but did what you could on Black Friday or
Man, I
whatever,
tell
you
you,
know.
tell you a quick story about Black Friday shopping. I don't participate anymore, right? I remember one time when I still lived in Jacksonville. You know the Walmart that's down by there's a Walmart down there by Avenues Mall, right? Like, isn't there a Walmart down there?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it's right
Yes.
by the Avenues Mall
Yeah.
over the
So you
hump.
go over the bridge,
Yep.
over there. Okay. So Steve and I was I think the last year that we still lived in Jacksonville, we went Black Friday shopping because we needed to get something. And Seema's mom, God rest her soul, was with us. And granddad was with us too. So we were there and they were looking for something for one of her nieces. And I think they were in the toy aisle. And this lady, punched mom in the face, bro. And you remember mom from our wedding, like little bitty,
Yeah.
small little bitty lady, punched her in
No
her face
way.
over a toy. I heard Seema scream at her from across the store. I was in the electronics section. They were in like the toy aisle. I come speeding down the aisle and just Goldberg this lady. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so like the lady
Oh
comes like just
god.
dips out, right? The never be seen again. And I'm like, really? You're gonna punch a 70-year-old woman in the face over a toy? Like, are you kidding me? Well, fast forward to 2023. Had to go to Walmart last night for Black Friday shopping. Hell of a deal on TV because the TV that we had in our bedroom when the dresser fell over and almost crushed Kai. So I had to get a new TV in there. So I got a good deal on the TV. Well, we got that earlier in the day. They had split our order into a couple orders, right? Well, it was like anarchy, free for all. Like they're bringing the orders out to you. Well, we sat there in this parking spot to get our second order of the day for like 30 minutes, and they still didn't bring the order out. We're like, all right, we'll just cancel it. It was only like $5 item, so we canceled the $5 item. Come home. We live 3 minutes from a Walmart, right? We come home. Seema gets a text. Your order has been picked up. Somebody picked up our order. The order that we had picked it up. Got a
Or
free.
did they give it to someone else?
That's what I'm saying. Somebody else picked it up, and because they got in a parking spot, because it was just a shit show. Needless to say, Black
Oh, I get it.
Friday,
I get it.
Black Friday is
Yeah,
a
I
fraud.
get it.
Black Friday is a fraud. I will absolutely not participate in it ever again. I will not go
It's
to a
been
store for Black
a
Friday.
few TikTok videos I've seen where they made it like it was a deal, but it was actually the same price it was like the day before. So they're not really even
Oh
lowering the
man, I
prices that much
remember.
this year.
I remember how old. I know this is definitely not fantasy sports related, and people don't really care about our life adventures. But I mean, fuck it. Let's just talk about it, right?
Just a
Like
little quick chit chat.
so, like life adventure. I think I was in high school, and I knew this old man who owned a hardware store, and he said to me, he had a bucket of rakes, right? They were rakes, like yard rakes, and he was like, I will get rid of all of these rakes on Black Friday. And I was like, okay, you're gonna get rid of these rakes. These rakes are like $15 a rake at this time, right? Like I was in high school, so they're probably $30 rakes now, right? But $15 rakes at the time. He's like, I'll get rid of all these rakes on Black Friday. And I'm like, how are you going to get rid of all these rakes? He's a bucket full of them. Obviously, nobody needs a rake. He's like, you know why? I'm going to mark sale on them. And so, like I said, at the time, they were like $15. He said, Let me tell you what I'm also going to do. He said I'm going to make more money on them too. He said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these rakes up like double the price. So mark them up to $30 and then cut them back $10. So a $15 rake, he marks it up to $30 and then cuts it down to $20 and makes $5 on each
extra.
rake. Yeah. And he sold every one of them. So that's what an old little small town hardware store, man, has that mentality. What do you think these big corporations are doing? Going out here, I saw the best meme ever, and it was like Trojans or something saying hold, and like the price was like $499, and he's like hold, and then he's like hold, and like the next day, day 1 hold, day 2 hold, and then day 3 says Black Friday, and then they write $6.99 on it, cross through it, and charge them $4.99 that has been every day up until that point. It's not changed at all. So, needless to say, yes, it's a scam and go. So, but now that that's out the way, let's talk a little football.
We know this isn't scam and go, though. That's the great thing.
No scamming. No scam and go.
There's no scamming and going here. We're trying to get you what you need to win tomorrow to get this W. Yes. We're getting close to playoff time. These games are serious, man. This is some big weeks.
What
I know for me at least in my
2 to 3, depending on.
It's like win or get out at this point for me. In my 12 man, I've been down 3 games, I think, in a row, man. So definitely wanting to get back on track here this week in the season long in the 12 man and the 10 man. I've been on a really good streak, 3-game winning streak, I believe. And sitting pretty tight here after the Thanksgiving games with some good performances by Waddle and Deebo Samuel. So I just need Pat bring it home for me tomorrow with Pacheco and make it right for me. Make this Thanksgiving a beautiful day for me. And my 12 man, I need some turnaround. I need Lamar to go off. I need him to eat his chicken up, get everything going, get every turkey, everything. And I need a ball game tomorrow out of him to get the
4 weeks. 4 weeks left.
What up, Dylan?
What's up, man? 4 weeks left. 4 weeks left for both of our leagues to get for playoffs. So playoffs start for us in week 16, I believe, in both of them. So
it's a critical 4 games. It's a swing. You know, this could be the difference. So.
Did you end up with Isaiah Likely stacked with Lamar off the waiver wire?
No, I was not able to get Likely, unfortunately, to get a stack. I was able to replace Mark Andrews. I went with currently right now. It's a toss-up game time decision between Kyle Pitts and Otten from Buccaneers.
Man, I like
working through that.
I like that Kyle Pitts.
But I think Kyle might give me a little more upside, so I think I might run with him tomorrow. But it'll be a game time decision. But I'll let the listeners know tomorrow, or excuse me, on Wednesday what ends up happening with that. But I'm gonna just see how I feel tomorrow. Kind of look at all the stats. They're kind of identical as far as the target share, so we'll see what happens.
I had to do that exact same thing in my Yahoo league with Kyle Pitts subbing in for Mark Andrews. So I know exactly. It was either him or Taysom Hill, and I just wasn't looking. I mean, I not really sure depending on where Taysom Hill is going to be tomorrow. I just don't know if that was going to be right play over Kyle Pitts or Kyle Pitts over Taysom Hill, just because of where, you know, it's boomer bust with Taysom Hill, but Kyle Pitts kind of seems to be steadier workload. So I don't really know. So, but I had to walk the same wire. Dylan. So you said few starts and sits, all full PPR. Number one needs upside. Pick one flex. Hollywood, Josh Downs, James Cook, or Kareem Hunt. Okay.
I love Hollywood. You know, that matchup, his connection with Kyler is definitely something to think about here. But I'm kind of liking Cook out of that 4 there, Dylan.
I think that finally the offensive coordinator in Buffalo sees the value that James Cook brings to that offense. Joe Brady is finally like, okay, well, I know Ken Dorsey couldn't get him involved, and he liked to just bring in a big bruising back like Lat Murray, and then they have Fat Lenny too. But I think it's either down to Hollywood or James Cook. I think James Cook's going to need to score in the game against Philly. I think the upside for James Cook to get in the end zone is he's going to try to get in the end zone and going to be involved more in the workload than I would think Hollywood is against the Rams, because I just don't at this point. What do the Cardinals have to play for? I mean, and I saw Hollywood, yes, but I also saw Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson's healthy, Trey McBride. It's 4 other mouths to feed other than Hollywood, and then James Cook, he is the number 1 running back on Buffalo. So I just think he's trending in the right direction right now, as opposed to where Hollywood is very volatile. That's just my thoughts on that one.
I got you on that one. I agree. I definitely like Cooks here for the pick 1 receiver. Kind of like Ridley tomorrow against the Texans, but that is a pretty good defense there that's kind of up and down. And the last time the Texans played them, they actually were really successful against the offense of the Jaguars. So it's a little bit dicey, but I still like Ridley as that number 1 there. They are trying to continue to work him into the offense.
DJ against the Vikings. Again, he's a number 1. It's going to be DJ Moore or bust. If that's who you're talking about, DJ, and I'm assuming it's DJ Moore. I just personally, having Trevor Lawrence, don't trust him throwing the ball to anybody, even though he went off for 30 points last week. Is that going to replicate itself again? I don't know. I feel like Justin Fields has to get the ball to DJ Moore or Cole Kmet, or they're not going to win the ball game. Obviously, Minnesota is going to score with Addison, with Jetta, I think, might come back. I'm not even sure 100% if he's coming back yet. But again, I feel like there's more scoring that could be had for DJ Moore here. But maybe I'm totally wrong, and maybe I'm looking at this where we're going to kick it off. The game we're going to talk about, Brad and I are going to talk about, is a game that's near and dear to both of us, is Jags and Texans. So, and then I like DJ, but I'm not telling you to go with Ridley or not go with Ridley. I don't remember who your quarterback is, so that might be something that you want to look at too. And then running back, Ford, Singletary, or James Conner.
Singletary has been on a resurgence, so
okay.
I know it's
hard. Dame is
coming. I kind of trashed him a little bit a couple of weeks back, but he's putting together some weeks together.
Dame is not questionable tomorrow, though. I mean, he's questionable, but he's trending towards playing. So it's cutting into could cut into those carries. Now, I don't really know if Miko and Bobby Slowick are going to ride the hot hand, which Singletary is starting to mesh, right? Like he's starting to mesh, and they didn't draft Dame.
Yeah, you're right.
So they may not have the love for him that the rest of us as Houston fans saw last year, because he was basically all of our offense. They may not have that same love. So I think here, personally, you either got to go forward, or I have to go forward. I'm going forward, and I have Pierce in one team on my 12-man team. I'm gonna rock forward until the wheels fall off. I feel like that's what they're going to have to do because they're going to have to pound the rock.
Rookie quarterback.
And if we're not going Hunt, and if this is in the same lineup, right? If this is the same lineup with Hunt, you're going away from Hunt in that first flex spot. I would put Ford in or Connor because Connor is the number one there in Arizona. There's really these two guys are number ones on offenses that are going to have to run the ball to control the game. I think that you're going to have to, with Ford, run the ball to keep the ball out of Russ's hands because we've seen this Denver offense and defense both become a better team over the last couple weeks than what we have seen going into the last couple weeks. Sean Payton has just turned them on their heads. So I like Ford and Connor here. But I think Connor's probably that game is projected over under is 45 points and Arizona score somewhere like 21 and a quarter or something like that. So
yep.
I think that you're probably looking for more probability. Again, we're going away. If you go away from Hollywood as the flex wide receiver one, I mean, as your wide receiver, as your flex, and Hunt as your flex, that opens up those two running backs in from Cleveland and Arizona both to get points. I think that
agree.
Something that Phil always says, he doesn't like running quarterbacks with a running back, but he loves James Conner with Kyler Murray. So I've run that James Conner train too, and he's never failed me until he gets hurt. That's just the only time he gets hurt. But
yeah,
I think Connor's they're gonna punch that Rams defensive line in the mouth tomorrow, and that's gonna be what they're gonna have to do because I think Kyler is gonna have to run for his life a little bit if Aaron Donald gets into the backfield. So
I just worry a little bit with the Rams and the Cardinals matchups. A lot of the times those get real defensive and low scoring a little bit. They're not as high scoring. So that makes it a little bit difficult to kind of determine a little bit of the fantasy value just because both teams are really familiar with each other and sort of the personnel. And so I definitely agree, Cody, with the Ford train, though. I really like Ford a little bit more than I do Hunt.
Hunt's
as far
still
as
in
the match,
still in short yardage touchdowns, but I don't.
Yeah.
If this was a non PPR, I might swing this back towards Hunt because Hunt's going to have the upside of getting in the end zone.
1 yard touchdown.
But
yeah,
quarterback UCLA kid Thompson,
DTR.
DTR. Yeah, he's gonna have to dump the ball off tomorrow, I think. And I think the dump offs are gonna go to Ford. It's gonna be there for Ford. And again, same kind of deal for Kyler, going to want to dump the ball off to James Conner. I think Singletary, just for the simple fact of that Dame could be back tomorrow. That he's questionable, but he was a full practice on Friday, and that just scares me. That just scares me for Singletary here. George, I see you're 9-2. Good job, my man. Good job, my man.
Yeah, man, you're doing the thing, man.
I would not. Answer to your first question is no. No.
I'm superstitious and just would say if you're at 9-2, just let that train keep going.
You're
man.
at 9-2 because of Tank Dell.
Nobody. Don't just leave it alone. Let it ride. Let it ride. This far into the season, if it's working that much, you just keep going.
I have Chase, and I am looking for my win streak to maybe dwindle. I am so freaking scared because of no Joe Burrow. We saw what a partial Joe Burrow was doing with Jamar Chase, and I went 0-4 for the first 4 weeks. And then when Joe Burrow started popping with Jamar Chase, that's when I took off. But now there is no Joe Burrow, so that scares me. And then you have Jetta, who, again, is with a different quarterback than who he's played with before. We have not seen Justin Jefferson without Kirk Cousins. We do not know if that is the case. your proven product here is Tank Dell getting open behind the defense and CJ finding him 3 or 4 times a game. At least I feel he's going to get you 15 points from here on out, just because, unless for some reason this week Jacksonville decides to double him all game, and this is a Nico Collins game. But I just feel like Tank's your proven commodity here. I wouldn't come up off of him. You're 9-2 because of Tank Dell. You're not 9-2 because unless somebody else on another team has had Chase and they're 10-0 or 11-0. That's it. You're 9-2 because of Tank Dell right now. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I like the lineup you have there with Waddle. He would have got you a good game on things yesterday, and then also
and C-Mac. There you go.
And I also like the emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba in the offense. They've been using them a lot more, which is what I thought was going to happen as the year went on. He would start to see more target share, and that's continuing to happen. So I believe that, and then that's likely to only increase. So again, I really like those receivers, that receiving core you got there, and just continue to ride that. The target shares are plenty enough for you to get enough points to win your games weekly. So
yeah, and Olave is only going to see more targets from here on out. Without Michael Thomas, I mean they put Michael Thomas on he is on IR, so this is the Chris Olave show going forward, and he plays the spot where Derek Carr likes to throw the ball to. They're getting Derek Carr back this week. No Jameis throwing ducks and shucks everywhere. So I think that you're good with Olave here. I mean, if it was me, maybe try to, if you wanted to so bad to make a move, Deontay, maybe, because you don't really know what's going to happen there in Pittsburgh. But I mean, at this point, you're 9-2, dog. I think that you should be sitting pretty on the top of the mountain, because if you're 9-2 and you're 9-2 in a league that like Brad and I are in, you're sole possession of number 1 seed going into rocking to the playoffs. So,
oh yeah,
I think you should.
Getting a bye.
He wants to give me Swift. No, thanks. I'm like, nope. I'm good. You've got CMC, Pollard, Warren, and Mitchell. Yeah. I mean, Mitchell's the only one that I'm not super comfortable with there, just because he's a Baltimore running back, and I'm never comfortable with a Baltimore running back. I haven't been comfortable with a Baltimore running back not named Jamal Anderson. So
yeah, I trust these backs as well. I really like this lineup. Just stay pat. I think don't kind of take any trades. Just kind of ride it out. Again, if you kind of have a couple bad games where you start to see some losses on the books, maybe then after that, then make some changes. But again, I think you should stay pat. I think again the target share and the fact that your running backs also have the ability to catch passes out of the backfield, like
and Pollard's going to have to start doing that.
Pollard should start to see more of that dump off type play as well as we get further into the end of the year.
Yeah, Pollard's going to start having to. I saw somebody post on Facebook today. Anytime everybody touts the Cowboys, I'm like, okay, you guys are 5-0 or whatever you are against home team games everywhere, right? So it's like, what the hell? I went and looked at their schedule. I was tired and done of looking at Cowboys statistics, and I was looking. Oh, they have not beat a team at all this season that has a winning record, for one. And all these teams that they beat the dog shit out of are 2 or 3 win teams. And I'm sorry, but you did not beat the 49ers, and you have not beat the Eagles. They run through a gauntlet going forward with teams like Miami, with teams that have to play Philly again. That's what I'm saying. They got to beat Detroit. I said they can do that to 3 teams out of the next 5 out of the next 6 games they have to play. 5 out of 6, they do it twice. Okay, we'll get to talking about it. But and I'm not a delirious Cowboys fan, and I'm never going to be, but I'm just like, they just a little too much out there. But Pollard's going to have to get involved. He's going to have to be that Pollard that we've seen in the past, or they're not going to win ball games. They're not going to win ball games with Dak dumping the ball to Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn. It's just not going to happen. So, I guess, you're a Colts fan. Well, it's okay. It's okay. You're safe. This is a safe place for someone in the AFC South to be because Brad and I are both AFC South fans, even though we both hate the Colts, and you're welcome to be here. So,
They've had a good run. So it wouldn't be bad to be a Colts fan. No, that's not bad. A bad history.
you had
Peyton
the
and
greatest,
Andrew Luck and
one of the greatest
you
quarterbacks of
guys
all
had a really
time.
good run in the South. I used to go to the Jags games at the season tickets back when Peyton Manning was still the quarterback, and he used to come into Jacksonville and cut us up some vicious, man. But it was still cool watching a Hall of Fame quarterback do his thing.
Yes.
But we probably want to go ahead and jump into this
Yeah,
first game
let's
on the
take it.
docket.
Yeah, let's jump straight to it. So, Jags at Houston. Let's just open it up. Jags Houston, second highest over under on the slate. 47.5.
Wow.
And your Jags are the third highest team total with 24.5. They have y'all projected.
What's that injury?
1.5. 1.5. So, all right. So for Jacksonville, I'm sure you know Tyson Campbell is out with a hammy. Zay is questionable with a knee. He's limited in practice on
He's
Friday.
been giving them problems all year.
And then questionable Roy Robertson Harris, your D tackle, so with an ankle. And then for us, no, we will be without Noah Brown tomorrow. Dame is still questionable with an ankle, but he was a full go in practice on Friday. We did activate Juice Scruggs, our rookie center, off of the IR. He was full practice for the hammy. We're getting Henry To'oTo'o back, and Jimmy Ward, our safety, is out with a hammy. So, with that being said, I got to personally have to try it out, Trevor, tomorrow against my own team. But
you feeling good about the matchup? How you feeling about that matchup? But I mean, from the heart perspective, I'm sure you want the Texans. As far as for rolling him out in a fantasy perspective, Trevor against the Texans defense.
If I get the same Trevor, or at least somewhat similar to the same Trevor that we got last week, where the man just runs with purpose when he runs the ball. Like, I just felt like he was running with purpose, even though it was only for like 17 yards. But he ran with purpose, and he ran to get in the end zone. He got in the end zone twice, running the ball and twice throwing the ball. I mean, 262 yards. I can see that. I saw what Kyler did.
How many yards did he have in the first matchup by the chance, Trevor, against Houston in that first matchup?
Hang on, let's see. Just a second. 241? No, hold up. 279 yards.
Okay.
And 1 touchdown and 1 interception. So we had 262 with 2 touchdowns and no interceptions this last week, and then obviously the 17 rushing yards for 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, he had 3 attempts for 12 yards against us before rushing the ball. So, I got to try them out, obviously. But my thoughts on this game, obviously, in perspective of what I'm looking for tomorrow, is I'm looking for CJ more, and this is for everybody that has CJ. I have him on our 10-man league, but obviously I have Jalen Hurts too. So it's like, do I play Jalen Hurts or do I play CJ Stroud? It's kind of thoughts. If I wish I had CJ Stroud in our 12-man league instead of in our 10-man league, but I CJ's got to be CJ tomorrow. The ownership, even in DFS, is just not. People are straying away from him. I guess because what he did with all the interceptions against Arizona, and Arizona didn't make him so much pay for it that they should have. I feel like people are seeing that if he does that shit against Jacksonville's going to make you pay for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
definitely Jaguars has an opportunistic style defense. It's not necessarily the best from a statistical standpoint in certain areas, but in the areas as far as for turnovers, that's where they rank statistically higher. Definitely from a fan perspective, I'm hoping that we were able to take advantage of maybe one or two potential turnovers or maybe a disguised look. CJ Stroud is still a rookie, so you kind of hope that maybe you can kind of create a look that he's seen the last game with the sort of a disguised look with something off of it to kind of create sort of a turnover type of situation. Definitely from a defensive standpoint, but I think a little bit from the offensive. I'm going into it a little kind of wishy-washy for the Jaguars, just from what happened the last game. It just seemed like the Texans, D'Amico just had their number and was able to kind of figure out sort of the strengths of uh, the Jaguars offense and kind of take it away. So I'm very interested to kind of see what happens this game as far as for that is concerned. Just a little, but I think from a standpoint that the fact that this is such a big game for both teams in the divisional, chance to kind of go up in the division and really kind of stamp their mark. I think for both teams, and as far as for being a solid team coming out of the AFC South, so I'm really excited to watch this. It'll almost be like a playoff style game, a little bit early in the year, but it has that basic feel to it and kind of going into it. I definitely want to see Trevor Lawrence kind of be more of the Trevor Lawrence he was last week. That's the type of quarterback that I was hoping to see every week,
yes,
for all of this year, because I feel that, as I stated earlier, you want to see those games where there's 4 or 5 total touchdowns. And having those games on your docket, I think also gives a quarterback confidence that he can be successful in the NFL, and which then leads to even better prep the next week and sort of more success built off of on top of that. And so I think that there's a little bit more, I would say almost like Josh Allen to his game. Then
well,
I think
I was
they've
gonna go
been
to
kind of
George.
utilizing.
I was gonna kind of go to George. He played a lot like Trevor. I mean, like Andrew Luck last week. Like I
Yeah,
saw that. I saw that him take that step into what we saw Andrew Luck was at the top of his game. Chuck the ball, and then when you need to run the ball, power that
exactly.
joint. Like
That's all.
you don't got to be finesse. You don't got to be.
Nope.
You are what is he 6'6"?
6'6".
Yeah,
Yeah.
run with purpose, young man. Run to put the ball in the end zone, and I think that'll work. And I know that a lot of people. I mean, I don't know how many people that aren't really like AFC South fans or follow the Texans at all. Us losing, what's his name? Dude got suspended. Oh my God, the linebacker. I just went blank. I just drew a blank. What's his name? Our linebacker that just got suspended for 3 games for illegal hits. But anyways, him being out hurts. Like it hurt.
Not Kareem Jackson. That's
No, that he's on
no,
Denver and
that's
his suspension got
yeah, that's
what's his name? Linebacker suspended. Hang on. I just drew a blank. Like Denzel Perryman. God almighty. And it was like
that's it.
Denzel Perryman and him not being there and us having a more younger linebacker core there in the middle since we got rid of Christian Kirksey, and so him not being there kind of it hurts a little bit because he was there kind of working that Fred role, like Fred Warner type role, calling the defense. I mean, my man was crushing people when he was getting hits, and that's why he got suspended. But I think that's what hurt. That's what hurt us a little bit last week, and they kind of didn't have that same willingness to get after the quarterback. I mean, Will was getting after Kyler something fierce, but I feel like that was with a subpar offensive line there in Arizona. I feel like your offensive line there in Jacksonville is a little better than that Arizona offensive line.
Some games, but there's been other games where it's just very poor play, just due to the fact that there's been some changes as far as on the offensive line where we've moved our starting left tackle when Cam Robinson was out for suspension. Walker Little, he's now moved to guard. And so there is a little bit of not necessarily growing pains, but just adjustments as far as for working with new people in certain areas. We also have a rookie right tackle from Oklahoma in Harrison. And so, again, he's still kind of finding his way in the NFL. And so that all takes time in order to begin to gel all those new pieces together on the offensive line. And so some games, it seems like the game plan is more favorable and fits. Some games, it doesn't necessarily work so well. But I do think that there's opportunities for Trevor Lawrence to utilize this mobility to help his offensive line and not put so much pressure on them. Also, the scheme, the ability to go do more boots and boot plays off of that play actions that allow them to move the pocket for the offensive line and not take so much pressure straight forward. So I think you'll see a little bit more of that this week as well against the Texans, where you maybe not seeing that against the last first matchup. I think a little bit, and I know going into that week, at least as far as for even what the local radio was saying, was that they were more thinking this is going to be a blowout game. Everyone's kind of just going to run over this team. They have a rookie head coach. They have a rookie quarterback. There's no way they won't be successful.
The offense is not going to. The offense is going to flutter. Yes.
And, and it just goes to show you in the NFL that these are professionals across the board, and that you can't look at any team like this is just going to be some cupcake team, because they're not. They're all putting the time in. And they understand your strengths and weaknesses, and they can help. Certain teams have the right personnel to take away your strengths sometimes, where other teams may not have the correct personnel needed to do that. So definitely excited about this game. Again, it's definitely playoff potential. Seems like Vegas believes there's going to be a lot of points, which is I'm happy about. Shout out, please give me something to that. Christian Kirk tomorrow for fantasy. You've been getting some pretty good targets there, so I'm really excited about that matchup.
I'll play Phil's role a little bit right now with some DFS numbers here. So, we always talk about exposure and what guys cost. Well, tomorrow, what's up, Chandler? I told you to come back. You did, my man. You came back.
What up, man?
I forgot. Give us that question that you asked the other night. I forgot what it was. So, if you will, please give it to us again, and we will do our best to give you some analysis and some advice.
Good night, Chandler.
So what I was saying is there's a gulf here. Okay. So when I told you how they thought that you guys were going to be the third highest scoring team total at 24.5, Trevor Lawrence tomorrow is the highest owned quarterback at 13%. Okay. And that is because he only costs $6,400 on DraftKings. Okay. Gotcha. My man, CJ Stroud is eighth highest owned. He is 7 below Trevor. He is 7,700, but he is only 5.45% owned tomorrow. That is outrageous. After what he's done, like I just said, it all comes back down to earth for the simple fact of the matter is of what he just did, throwing those interceptions against Arizona. Okay? So with that being said, the ceiling projection between the two is minimal. It's de minimis. It's like a half a point or 1.6 points between the two. So Trevor Lawrence is like 29 top end and CJ is like 28 top end just because of what we've seen from them so far this season. I personally will have exposure in a mass injury tournament tomorrow to both. Just because I know for sure Trevor Lawrence, they'll have Trevor Lawrence as a cash play. If Phil was here, he would tell you he would never play Trevor Lawrence in cash just because. But with what we saw last week, I don't know if we've seen an emergence of a new quarterback. But cash play right now with exposure, you would have to play Trevor Lawrence just because of what other quarterbacks are on this docket. I mean, there's not like top tier names on here, but 3, I would say, like other than Trevor Lawrence. So you got Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. I wouldn't even call Matthew Stafford a top tier quarterback in this situation anymore. Maybe Kyler Murray just because he has the ability to run the ball around. But other than that, that's it. So, I mean, this may be one of those games where you ride high with the fact that you're hoping that Trevor Lawrence and CJ pop tomorrow. And we see what we've seen the last couple weeks or 3 weeks, 4 weeks from CJ and what we saw last week from Trevor. And then obviously in ownership wise for ETN tomorrow, he's about 11% owned. He again is 1, 2, 3, 7, 8th highest owned. And then you fall all the way down here, way to the bottom for Devin Singletary and Dame Pierce, just for simple fact of the matter. Kind of going back to the point that we were making earlier for Dylan's question about if he should run Singletary out there. Even these guys are seeing that no way that they're worth picking up tomorrow. You're right. Like the ownership for James Pierce is not even 1%, and Devin Singletary is 2%. So that's where it's at. And then of course, one more thing about Tank Dell is the second highest owned wide receiver tomorrow. Only Michael Pittman is owned more than him.
We need to keep in mind as well that the injury to Tyson Campbell, that's our number one cornerback. So as far as for a daily fantasy perspective tomorrow, if you're looking at Tank Dell, if you're looking at CJ Stroud, those could be very good options given the fact that
2 Texans wide receivers in the top 6.
They won't be going up against a number one. I mean, I would say he's a top 7 at least cornerback in the NFL as far as for what he's doing from a production standpoint. So Darius Williams will take that number 1 spot. And so I believe that's what happened also in the first matchup. And Tank Dell was able to get a schemed up wide open for CJ Stroud to find him multiple times for a really long completion. So that could potentially happen tomorrow as well. Again, just given the fact that we're playing a little bit more backups in the secondary tomorrow. I like Chandler. I like Tutu a little bit more than Zay, just because he has his knee is again giving him a little fit. So I don't necessarily like to go with receivers with a knee injury. That's difficult to kind of deal with going through the week there. So I would say
my thoughts is Tutu here. 1, Trey Palmer is a sneaky 2, just for the simple fact that the matter is I just saw that even though he doesn't have a tag right now, Chris Godwin was limited in practice on Friday. And that says something, right? I've been on that. I've had Chris Godwin train, and it blows up in my face because I didn't have a handcuff to him. So pay attention. If you do not follow us on Facebook, I will put the Facebook link in the chat. And pay attention in the morning. For some reason, if God's green earth that Godwin is out, I am smashing Trey Palmer in that spot. But if not, I think you got to go to Tutu just for the simple fact of the matter. Even though he was a full go in practice, Cooper Kupp, even though it was a full go in practice, it looks like the other day, full practice, he's still questionable. So that says something. Tutu's got, I think you move You move Puka into the number 1 role, and Tutu moves into the Puka role there. So I think at this point, the Rams don't want to lose Cooper Kupp again to another serious injury when they can kind of shift the role a little bit, take a little bit off of Cooper Kupp and roll with 2 younger guys at this point. I think that Tutu is the play here, like for sure. That's just me on this one. And pay attention, like I said, I'll have the injury report in the mornings. For some reason, if Chris Godwin is out, I would play Palmer. But right now, with as it stands, if everybody does play, I think Tutu is where you got to go. I'm not messing with any of this shit on the waiver wire. I'm just that Van Jefferson, Jalen Hyatt, like the Giants. Those are Giants receivers, man. And I'm sorry, but Tommy DeVito is not striking lightning twice. It's just not going to happen. I don't believe it. It was lightning got stuck. Yeah. Yes. See, smart man. I see you. But
what's the spread on the Jags game?
Spread is 1.5. 1.5 Jacksonville. It's here at home.
I'll take my Jags, of course. I can't help but to. But
it's okay.
I do like that. I do like that 1 point spread there.
I'm not for season long, but for DK Watson. I feel like that was a fluke, man. That's just my thought. So I'm glad you asked for a DraftKings question. If you hang around, I promise you, we'll touch on that game. We will talk about the Chiefs, or if you come back in a little bit, if you dip out for a little bit, just come back. And if we have got to it, I'll tell you what we think about it. But we will get to it, I promise. But if right now it's a fluke. It's 1.5. I'm obviously going to take my Texans. I think we win again. I think CJ puts us in the right position. Another one of those game-winning drives. We are so rocking a uniform we have not rocked since JJ was around. JJ's a full battle red tomorrow. Red pants, red shoes, red helmet, everything. All red, everything. The candy paint is what they're calling them. Yeah, and JJ's been around all week, working out in the facility. Pat McAfee was making jokes with him the other day, saying, "Oh, so you're gonna sign up? We're gonna see JJ Watt in the Texans jersey again on Sunday?" And he's like, "No, man, I'm gonna be in England." But so JJ Watt's been around in the building, so it makes me happy. It gives me the warm fuzzies on the inside. So,
I'm sure, man.
Fight week, big fight feel.
I'm sure D'Amico would love to get at least 10 to 15 snaps out of him every game.
Yeah, sure, right. You don't
even need him for a lot. Just
yeah,
give it a little boost. All right, what we got next on the
okay,
docket?
So let's just hop straight. We'll just kind of jump.
Some thoughts.
Saints and Falcons. Over under is 42.5. Spread is 1.5. Saints 22 over Falcons 20.5. Some significant injuries. They're getting Derek Carr back, which is probably the most significant thing. And then if anybody has been rocking Kendre Miller, the rookie, which I thought, I'm going to eat my words and say I thought Kendre Miller was going to be somebody this season because I thought he was really going to be. He's out with an ankle injury. And then no Marshawn Lattimore out with an ankle injury also. And then on the Falcons side, Matt Collins is out with an ankle injury. Taylor Heineke is questionable with a hamstring, which obviously I think this is the Desmond Ridder show again. So, they can't make their mind up. That's why I don't have any love for this game whatsoever, hardly. I did make a thought earlier. Rashid Shaheed is available on your waiver wire. He's probably somebody you should pick up if you're hurting. No Michael Thomas going forward. Obviously, kind of went back to earlier. Chris Olave is probably the poke and play of this game. I'm not totally running away from Drake London tomorrow. without Marshawn Lattimore out there, this Saints secondary goes to shit real fast.
Yeah, I agree
You know,
with the
Phil,
Olave play as well. That's
Phil's not
definitely
here for
the
me to talk
safest
shit
play
about him to
from
his
this
face. So
list. I almost thought about for the Keele Athletics Start and pick of the week actually running out Derek Carr just because I really like this matchup against this Atlanta defense that at one point gave up 4 touchdowns to Will Levis in the game. So you definitely kind of think about these types of matchups as far as for those connections for sort of big statistical outputs from the opposing offense. Um, and I also was looking at again the matchup between Pitts and Otten, as far as for a fantasy perspective, because just looking at the continued use of Pitts and just kind of weighing those options, I think with this matchup again with Derek Carr and the Saints potentially putting up a good deal of points that they're going to be playing from behind, and just seeing if maybe Ritter or Heineke, whoever does end up playing, can kind of fit those tight ends a little bit more in the scheme. I know he kind of loses a little bit from Jonnu Smith stealing some target share each week, but I think that Arthur can kind of scheme them both up. I do also like that Drake London look as well for this matchup, but kind of stick a little bit to what we always say are the chalkier options here. Maybe get sneaky with Jawan Johnson. But besides that, that's what I have here. I think that the Saints kind of pull away. But just again, from that standpoint, that doesn't mean from a fantasy standpoint that your Drake Londons or your Pitts can't go off, because they can still have that, but the matchup swing the other way from the win-loss perspective.
people are seeing some projections on ownership tomorrow. Olave is 11% owned, so that puts him in ownership higher than Stephon Diggs and below Mike Evans. So that kind of gives you two number ones that he's sandwiched a couple places between. So you can look at it that way. And then tight end wise, Cal Pitts is 4.4% owned, which again, that's right, comes in right below Brad's inner conflict with Kate Otten, and above, quite a bit above, or two above Michael Mayer, the tight end, the emerging tight end there in Vegas. So that's thoughts to be had tomorrow.
What's the spread on this one?
It is, like I said, it is 22-20 and a half Falcons. So 1.5 to the Saints, and it's 42.5 over under. I think the Saints cover that.
Give me the Saints. Yeah,
yes.
Give me the Saints, boy.
I think Saints cover that easy.
That one in. Lock
yes.
that one in. Take
all right.
that one to the bookie tonight and book it.
Yeah, that's easy. Next game, I believe comes a little bit in better for you. Steelers at Bengals, 36.5 over under. Slow plotting. We don't really know what's going to happen with no Joe Burrow and a new offensive coordinator there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Spread is 2 points. 2 points to the Steelers. 19.25 over the Bengals. 17.25.
Yeah, definitely. From the matchup standpoint, I definitely think that it may not be too high scoring, but I kind of like this matchup. I actually have one of my players on my Keele Athletics Start of the week, going with Deontay Johnson. And I know people are going, whoa, hold up. Matt Canada just got fired. What can I expect? But I kind of like these type of matchups because of that. Because a lot of times when you do have a change in coordinators, they might get back to the basics, go to their starters, go to their number one players, such as Deontay Johnson, such as Najee Harris, such as Warren. And so just looking even past at the last 4 games for perspective, he's had 14, 9, 4, and 8 targets in the last 4 games. So you've definitely seen that there's been a continued effort to get him the ball. It just hasn't necessarily produced as much fantasy production as we've hoped coming out of Deontay Johnson, but he has had in his last 4 games, I believe 3 of them. I mean, in the prior 2 weeks, they were a little rough, but the prior 3 weeks before that. He's had double-digit fantasy points in those previous 3 weeks. So I think again he rebounds this game, and really gets back to being the sort of high caliber receiver that he can be. Just he needs a little bit better ability and scheme. And I'm hoping that with the sort of change in offensive coordinator, that they're a little bit more open to airing it out, and not necessarily settling for those shorter passes. So again, Deontay Johnson, I'm looking at you to come through for me this week. If you hear me out there, if you're listening, please come through for me, man. I appreciate the love.
People are seeing it. He's 11% owned tomorrow, so people are seeing that. He, like I said, he comes in right below Chris Olave. Running backs, thoughts on this one? I'm thinking your Najee Harris, 2.71% owned tomorrow.
Get different.
That's your spinoff of you're trying to get. I mean, Jaylen Warren is 7.3%, 7.36%, which is not a lot. It's not a lot. Yeah. I mean, you got plenty of people coming in way higher than that. So,
and I like Warren too. I like both of them. I really do. I like both.
This could be one of those games where Pittsburgh's trying to control the ball, keep the ball away from the Bengals, even though they're starting a quarterback that's been around. I mean, you talk about something that's crazy. Steelers defense is only the third highest owned at 8%, which that still is to me is kind of asinine. Like, I feel like that they should be higher. You have the Chiefs and the Patriots coming in higher than that. So, man, I'm full go with rocking the Steelers defense tomorrow. If you're running them for DFS, I mean they're 3,700, so they're kind of expensive. Which actually they are the second highest expensive defense tomorrow, but third highest owned. Bengals. Obviously, if you have the Bengals, you're gonna have to try. I can give you some injuries really quick. Let's see. Where'd it go? Had it just a second ago. Oh, most important one for Pittsburgh is no Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's probably the most important one.
Play with that safety back there. That's definitely going to hurt them. I am interested to see what Browning is capable of doing, but of course you're going to have to roll out your Chase if you have them. You know, you're mixing. I think you're probably pretty happy if you're a Mixon fan today.
Yes.
Because of the fact that
no T. Higgins tomorrow again. No T. Higgins.
No T. Higgins. So if you do need someone, maybe someone's out for a bye week. Tyler Boyd, he was a go-to of mine.
Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase. Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase, 4% owned tomorrow. You're never going to see that ever again in your life.
So if you want to get different also from a daily fantasy perspective as well, that could be somebody that might get different again, just before the fact that they have to throw it to somebody. And that offense is still solid with the weapons that they have, and so they can make some plays. So maybe they're able to do that for Browning tomorrow.
I know this Browning kid has been around for a couple years. Apparently, they did bring back our boy AJ McCarron. He is going to be the active backup quarterback tomorrow. So that says a lot. Says a lot to me.
Big ups to AJ, man.
He was my man left the NFL, left the NFL to go be an XFL quarterback, took it to the extreme because he wanted his sons to watch him be a starter in professional football. And what happens? He turns it around, flips it back on its head, and now is back with the Bengals. Could be a starter come next week if Browning shits the bed tomorrow. So big ups to AJ. Yes. My opinion, best Alabama quarterback to ever do it. I don't screw Joe Namath, screw Bryce Young. AJ, best one to ever do it. I mean, maybe you could say Jalen Hurts is right up there, but I got Jalen. Jalen was benched. Tua was hurt. I think AJ's probably it for me. Mac Jones, of course not. Everybody knows how I feel about Mac Jones. All right, so
What's the
let's hop.
spread on that one?
Again, it is 2 points even to the Steelers, 19 and a quarter to 17 and a quarter. I think the Steelers probably end up winning this by a field goal, so I would take 2 points. It's in Cincinnati. I could be wrong, but
Okay.
I think Kenny Pickett in the system gives you 3 points. I think Kenny Pickett's worth 3 points.
I'm gonna go Kenny P and the Steelers as well. More so from the defense. I think they might be able to probably pick Brown and off tomorrow. Maybe get a strip calls fumble.
Move Stroud,
That's an
Mixon for
interesting trade
Love,
offer.
Swift, Laporta, good move. I don't like it. I don't like Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think you should just hold on with Stroud and
You
Mixon here.
come at me. Well, Mixon's gonna have to be the. He's gonna have to hold the water for the Bengals going forward with no Joe Burrow. It's gonna be filling out phase. Obviously, we're gonna have to turn this into a running offense with a quarterback that's just we don't really have a high. Sheesh. And then Stroud, Cook, McBride. You can say my incentive to do it is the return of this deal has great playoff schedules. I hate Mixon as a Ravens fan. Some weeks I may play Hollywood, and I don't want to play him and then McBride in the same lineup. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to play Hollywood or McBride in the same lineup. Now, I know. It's just the fact of Stroud. I don't know. I just
I
don't.
would just stay put.
I mean, it's me. Like I'm afraid. I'm afraid of Jordan Love because it's just like 1 week it's down and 1 week it's up. I don't know. I'm gonna rock with Stroud. It ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. Because he has Khalil Herbert, Pollard, Stroud, Pollard, Jay Cook, Mixon, Khalil Herbert, Hunt, Spears, Diggs, Ayuk, Brown, down. Yeah, man. I don't know, dude. That's on you personally. If you feel like you have, like, if it, listen. What I would say, if it's going to do more damage to the team that you're trading for, hell yes. Like if you're going to sabotage him, do it. But I don't think it helps you. That's my opinion. I don't think it helps you. I think it hurts you. But if it hurts him more, then maybe. That would be my mindset going into this. Full on sabotage for your guy that you're making the trade with. Or have him throw you your entry fee with it. That's always an option.
Who we got next on the docket?
Tampa Colts 45.5. Everybody loves Gardner Minshew tomorrow. And Michael Pittman. I just like the Gardner Minshew and Michael Pittman show. And Michael Pittman is the highest owned wide receiver. Jonathan Taylor is the highest owned running back. And Gardner Minshew is the second highest owned quarterback. So George, if you're still listening, your team, they are expecting your team to railroad the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow.
That's interesting. Is there a lot
24
of
points
on the Bucks that are out tomorrow? Because that Bucks defense is fairly formidable.
The
defense.
Okay, so Buccaneers, no Levante David, check box number 1. Carlton Davis, the corner, questionable with a hip. Jamil Dean, cornerback, out. There's checkbox number 2. A defensive tackle is questionable. A defensive end is questionable, and Devin White is questionable also. So there's 4. There your problem is. There's your answer. So, and then for the Colts, their center Ryan Kelly is the only person of note that I'm even going to read off that is out for tomorrow. Rest everybody else is in. That's why. This is
Yeah.
why you're.
Okay. Well, I definitely think then, just based off of those additional injuries, that I could definitely see why
I did see
everyone's
earlier.
so high on them, on Minshew and also Pittman and Taylor here. But I like the other way around. I actually I like Evans. I like Mayfield. I like um, even Otten as well. So I just think that's very interesting that they're seeing it the other side. So
Something that's not
um,
showing on this injury report, which I got a message, or Seema actually got a message because she has him. Rashad White earlier. Um, Rashad White is actually popped up on the questionable as a questionable one today,
oh
but
wow,
he's
okay,
expected to play tomorrow. But that's weird. He popped up with something with to do with his knee, which I don't know if he did it in practice or whatever.
today, yeah,
Yeah, it was earlier this morning that I saw it. So
yeah.
keep in mind, I'll have that out there in the morning. Because as it stands right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Rashad White is the fifth highest owned running back tomorrow at 15%. So
I have to keep an attention that this matchup is not so heavily favored.
I think this is play your chalk players tomorrow. That's pretty much
That's what I
this
would
is this is
suggest
I don't
everyone
really
as
feel
well.
like there's a whole lot of get different off of this game.
Yeah,
I mean, of course, your get different, I guess. I mean, it's really not even getting different. It's Josh Downs, and he's 12% owned. So that's him and Mike Evans are right at 12% owned together. So that's
yeah.
and then kind of to go back to earlier, what was it? Whoever had Trey Palmer, was it you, Dylan? Somebody did, or was it George? Can't remember. Somebody had Trey Palmer, but um, or Chandler. My fault. Chandler did. So Trey Palmer could be a an asset tomorrow. I mean, he's only 3% owned, so that could be your get different play off the chalk. If you got off the chalk in this game, it's Trey Palmer tomorrow. That's your get off the chalk play. And then pay attention to that Rashad White. If Rashad White doesn't play, which, like I said, is expected to, but you're looking at guys like Chase Edmonds and Keyshawn Vaughn. But I don't. I think Chase Edmonds is probably your spinoff of that tomorrow if you're doing it. But I don't. I'm not. I don't think I'm trotting out Gardner Minshew tomorrow. Me
Yeah,
personally.
I just don't have the faith to do that. But
It's
it
just because
sounds
he's
like,
cheap. He's cheap.
given the fact that the other players are expected to have good value if from a daily fantasy, or if you just need a quarterback, maybe he might get you at least 15 plus. And so from that perspective, that could be enough tomorrow to win you some games in the season.
And this could be. I know he's available in a lot of leagues right now. Still,
I believe
Baker,
he's available in
Baker.
the 12 man
Yeah,
in
yeah.
ours.
I think Baker is too.
Yeah,
So if you're hurting tomorrow, you may need to slap Baker or Gardner Minshew in. But you should. There's not a whole lot of, if any, big tier quarterbacks tomorrow that haven't played already or aren't playing tomorrow. So yeah, I would sit pat with it if it was me. So over under, like I said, is 45.5. Spread is Colts 24, Tampa 21.5. So what's that? 2.5? Yeah, 2.5.
24.
2.5 to the Colts
Um,
in Indianapolis.
I'm gonna go the other way and actually go Tampa Bay here. I think either they win only by 1 point or so, maybe. But I just see Tampa Bay pulling away with this one. I know they have it going the opposite, but I just see something differently here. I just think that Baker and Mike Evans are able to put enough together tomorrow to get the W.
Actually, I what I think that this. Well, my heart wants the Colts to lose. Like I literally want the Colts to lose. Sorry, George. Gotta say it. I want them to lose because I don't want any other competition than Jacksonville for that spot, the number one spot in the AFC South. I think that I actually think the Colts win though. I think they win, but for some weird reason I think that Tampa covers because what I'm looking at right here, I'm going to look at it again. Look at it on ESPN because this says 2.5. Let's see if it's different on ESPN because ESPN kind of it's three full points to the Colts tomorrow. So I think Tampa covers. Tampa covers, but I think the Colts win, but I think Tampa covers. So I think it's a 2-point conversion difference. I think that's what it is. Next game is the Patriots, New England Patriots at the New York Giants. I don't really have much to say about this game, other than the fact that it's disgusting. They don't know who their quarterback's going to be, and the Patriots tomorrow. They don't know if it's going to be Bailey Zappi. They don't know if it's going to be Mac Jones. They just cut Will Greer today, and they're not going to put Malik Cunningham. I just don't understand what Bill Belichick's doing. Like, if you just want full range of just destroying your whole team, why not just run Malik Cunningham out there and let him run around? Like, why not? Like, why not? Like, you're stupid. I feel like this is terrible. The only thing I got in this game is defenses. Play one of them. Play one of the two. You want some ownership projections? I'm actually running the freaking Giants defense out tomorrow in a freaking 12-man league. Just because they don't know who the quarterback's going to be in New England, and I just saw what they did last week against the Commanders, who I feel like is a better ball team than the Patriots. Some weird numbers here.
Looks like? What's the injury report looking like?
There's a shit ton of questionable people for the Patriots. Nobody out. Dietrich Wise is probably the most important. And then for the Giants, Evan Neal, the tackle, is out, so that could be something. And Darius Slayton is doubtful with a neck injury. So, I mean,
this lines up not too bad for actually the second pick that I wanted to go with in my Keele Athletics Start of the week. I'm actually going to go with Ramondre Stevenson for many of the reasons that Cody just listed. And the fact that the quarterback play is a little shoddy on both sides. And given the fact that you have that sort of poor quarterback production, that means that there's going to be a lot of punts, so additional possessions. And it also means that they're going to be more apt to want to go to the run game. In the last 5 of the 6 games, there's been 13 plus fantasy points by 13 or more plus fantasy points by Ramondre Stevenson. Also in those games, he's had at least 4 games with 6 plus passing targets. I believe in completing got at least 3 to 4 catches each game. I really like to see that from the running backs. Is that target share and that pass target share, much like with Warren from Pittsburgh. They may not be necessarily on the best teams, but you actually see them having fairly good productive fantasy games because of the fact that they're able to catch those 5 or 6 catches out of the backfield. So even if they don't score a touchdown, it's virtually the same thing when you have those 5 catches there. So and given the fact that the defenses and also the quarterback play it just lends well to, again, a good offensive productive game. I could see him potentially getting 20 to 25 touches tomorrow, again, which will open him up for more chances to get into the end zone, also more chances to get some passing catches. So again,
He's only
uh,
9% owned tomorrow.
Stevenson tomorrow. Again, and then from a daily fantasy perspective, he won't be necessarily owned um, as much. And so if you just want to kind of go a little light on your lineup in the running back position, and then go heavy with more chalkier play for your receivers, that's definitely an option available to you with the Ramondre Stevenson tomorrow.
He's only 5,800. He's only 9% owned. It's not terrible. Phil will tell you to go away from this game because it's not a high scoring game. But we also thought the last couple of weeks the Giants games weren't going to be high scoring. They've done more than what we thought they would. I wouldn't spend my money on Saquon Barkley tomorrow, just because the simple fact of the matter is, just wouldn't do it. Like I said, I probably won't have much of him, if any at all. But I tell you another gulf here. Patriots defense is owned 10.44% tomorrow, just because we know
I
Bill
believe
Belichick
I'm rolling
doesn't.
out the Patriots defense in either my 10 man or my 12. Don't quote me, but I believe one
The
of them.
Giants
I'm rolling that
defense,
out.
as of it stands right now, the Giants defense is owned less than 2%. You don't know who the
And you're
quarterback's
rolling
going to
on
be.
the other side, right?
Yeah, I'm
You're
rocking
rolling
the
with the
Giants
Giants
tomorrow.
defense,
I'm
right?
rocking the
Yeah,
Giants tomorrow
yeah.
in the 12-man league, just for the simple fact of the matter is they don't know who the running back's going to be. I may eat my words tomorrow. Actually, I'm doing it in a 10-man league. I'm running. Did I pick them up? Where'd they go? Yes, I actually run. Yeah, 12-man league. Just saying. I mean, it's in it's in New York. I feel like Wink's team doesn't really. Thibodeau's going to be there. I think Thibodeau's going to be okay. I think that's enough said
Yeah.
for me. Like, it's just what I need to
What's
know.
the spread on this one?
4 points to the Patriots, 19-15.
Give me the Patriots for the points.
Yeah,
But
4
this one
points.
will be close, real close actually.
I shit on
But I
Tommy
do like
DeVito
that
and
4 points.
I shit on Tommy DeVito and his mom making his bed last week. I won't make that mistake twice. Like I said, I think that the Commanders were a better team. I feel like Sam Howell's a better quarterback than anybody that they got there in New England. I feel like Brian Robinson, they have a better cast of wide receivers. I just feel like that Bill Belichick tries to go into the Giants, goes into New York to try to pull off his, oh, yeah, I made the New York Giants defense, Lawrence Taylor under Bill Parcells. I just feel like the Giants had his number. There's a ghost there. He sees ghosts or something. I'm going with the Giants tomorrow. I think that they cover for sure. I think they do. I think they cover. I like that we're going against each other on this one.
Yeah.
Next game, again, slow plotting, very low scoring. Panthers at the Titans. I have absolutely no love for this game, except for the fact that if you have Derrick Henry, you have to run him out tomorrow. That's it, because Derrick Henry is the play. That's all I got to say about it. I give you some injuries if you got just for people that, if they have people that are important or they are Panthers or Titans fan. Jeremy Chin, the safety for the Titans, is out. They got a linebacker that's out. Hayden Hurst is still out with a concussion. J.C. Horn is doubtful. C.J. Henderson is doubtful. Frankie Louvu is questionable. So that pretty much means half of their defense, if not all of it, is going to be out tomorrow. That sets up for the Derrick Henry show. Treylon is again still out with a concussion. And then Chris Hubbard, their tackle, is out with a biceps injury. Other than that, that's all I got for this game.
Give me D-Hop tomorrow with the points. But besides that, just keep it chalky. If you're gonna pull somebody
It's
out
three
of
and
there,
a
you
half.
can't go wrong with Thielen, because you know the target share will be there. But again, keep it chalky, and then kind of add in more into other teams, or excuse me, other
And
games to kind of really
the
boost your
chalk's
points.
not really even there. Uh, WW Fresh, what are your credentials or giving picks, buddy? Did you just escape from prison? uh, so, uh, but anyway, so Hopkins is only 6% on tomorrow. So Hopkins could be a good play. Thielen is 5.2%, 5.26% owned. So Thielen's going to be Thielen. The most chalk from this game is going to be Derrick Henry. He's 14, almost 15% owned tomorrow. It's got to be somebody we
That's
know.
not bad.
It's got to be
That's
somebody
not
we know.
bad at
Fresh.
all. That's not bad at all. As far as for the ownership on Henry, but yeah, just keep it chalky tomorrow, and then let's just
I feel like it's
keep
you
it
just
smooth and
roll it.
moving.
Yeah, 3.5 points. Tennessee. I like 3.5 Tennessee for sure. Okay, let's kick it. Let's get into 405 games. Rams at Cardinals. 45 over under. The spread is 2.5 to the Rams. Again, let's get down here to some injuries. There's a lot of questionables on the Rams. A lot of questionable. Cooper Kupp's probably the most notable. But he was a full go in practice. I will let you guys know. Puka is also questionable. But he was a full go in practice. And then they did activate Kyron off of injured reserve. So he was a full go in practice also. And then kind of going back to a question we had earlier about Dylan's question. Marquise Hollywood Brown is questionable with a heel injury and did not practice on Friday. So there's a thought. Zach Pascal is questionable with a hamstring. And Michael Wilson, they will be without Michael Wilson again for one more week. So I'm looking at you, Greg Dortch, one more week. So I think this is your James Conner, Kyler Murray. You got him. You got to run him out. And if you're looking for somebody in DFS, especially in the afternoon slate, I ran out the Greg Dortch show last week, and it worked out. Hollywood Brown is only 7.68% owned right now. Your tutus. Rondell Moore is a good play. Greg Dortch has upside. Greg Dortch is 1.46% owned. So this game, they say they see it going. I mean, see it going high. I mean, 45 points. This sets up so well for Greg Dortch and fucking Tutu Atwell. I mean, Tutu Atwell
is Vegas is looking at a lot of points being scored across the board. I actually like Puka Nacua this week as well, given that Arizona matchup. Just the feeling that they may try to take Cooper Kupp away a little bit from a scheme perspective. And then that would lead to additional target shares for Nacua to have some success tomorrow against the Arizona defense. But it would just seem interesting to me, again, overall, that there's not a lot of love for Kyler Murray a little bit, just from the simple fact that he's going to potentially seem to be playing from behind. So.
Yeah, so Tutu Atwell could be your get different on this. If you're going in an afternoon only slate, I would chuck him out there as a flyer, maybe even in the full slate too. He's 1.24% owned, and his ceiling is he's only 4,100. His ceiling's around 18.5 points, so that's pretty good. I would think, especially kind of going back to questions that we've had earlier.
And I think you can't, just like you were saying as well earlier in the show about Connor being the number one back, you can't go wrong with that as well. So if they
Yeah,
kind of keep it chalky here, as well.
Connor's chalk, but you may have to eat that chalk tomorrow. That's one of those
Yeah,
chalks
it
that,
might be worth
as Phil
it.
says, eat that chalk. He's the fourth highest owned at 17.61%. So he's chalk that you might have to eat tomorrow. So just because he's dump off King and Bruiser back too. So yeah, so again it is 2.5 to the Rams. It's in
I
Arizona.
like the Rams. Yeah, I like the Rams here tomorrow.
I think I'm gonna go opposite with you. Opposite. I think the Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray's playing for his job. I think that's what Kyler Murray's trying to do, is trying to win ball games so he doesn't get replaced. And what better team to do it against than somebody in your division? You know, I think it's a good thought to kind of keep them down. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals tomorrow. I think they win straight up tomorrow. Next 4:05 game, 3:05 here on my time zone is Browns at Broncos. Obvious. No Marquise Goodwin. That's the most important. Oh, no Denzel Ward for the Browns tomorrow, so that could be something to monitor in the secondary there in Cleveland. And then no injuries of note for the Broncos.
It seems like this one's probably going to be more defensive than offensive, than anything, just given the fact that I'm not sure how much
Low
the Broncos
36 and
will
a
be able
half.
to move the ball. Yeah, against this Cleveland defense with Myles Garrett playing as well as he's playing right now. Even with, I believe you said, the injury to Denzel Ward. I don't know if that necessarily holds them back, given the fact that there's not a ton of sort of speedy offensive threats for the Denver Broncos tomorrow. So it may be that they may try to run the ball to be a little bit more effective. But I am loving the rush train and what he's been able to do. So from that standpoint, I am rooting for him. But I just don't know if he can do enough against this Cleveland defense. But they are on the other side with DTR rolling out a rookie quarterback. So if you're sort of looking for some prey, kind of, and you don't have a lot of cash to throw at it on a defense perspective, you might want to try to take a gamble on this Denver defense and just kind of hope that they may come through. Of course, you can go strong with your Browns defense, but I believe they'll probably be more expensive.
So Broncos defense is fifth highest owned. They're
Okay,
3,200.
they're seeing that as well. Okay,
But your Browns defense is in the bottom third owned tomorrow, 2.72%, because they're seeing this rust that we've seen and this Cortland Sutton connection we've seen, and no Denzel Ward. And the 2.7% owned. I'm not afraid to trot out the Browns tomorrow. I'm not afraid of doing it. I think this is a good game where you could get exposure to both defenses. You got, like I said, the Broncos is 3,200 and the Browns is 3,800. So there's your difference. That's probably a little bit of the difference, but they're seeing this Russ-led team that we've seen against the Bills and the Vikings. So they beat them. I don't think that we see 12 men get a win like they did with the Bills. So that's part of the problem. I think the Browns defense is Browns defense. Like I've said before, until Myles Garrett is no longer on the field, I don't see what's the left tackle there in Mr. I'm going to get 47 holds in one game. What's his name from Utah? Garrett Bowles. Yeah.
Bowles.
he's no match for Miles
Miles Garrett.
Garrett. No, thank you, sir. I like the Browns. Another point that we made earlier, Jerome Fords of the world. If you have him in season long, my personal opinion is you trot him out. He's even not a terrible play, I wouldn't think, in DFS tomorrow. He's especially for maybe like a FanDuel type, getting into the end zone. Because the Broncos defense, even though they've been good, they're not that great against the pass. If not the worst, I mean, against the run, if not the worst team against the run in the league. And he's only like 3% owned. So I could see this could lend to a Jerome Ford game, and even Kareem Hunt if you're down in the lower end of the waters and you're looking for someone to fill some money. Kareem Hunt's only is around 1% or so owned tomorrow too. So, and then of course your Javonte Williams is your third highest owned running back. So there's that. They're seeing Javonte that we've seen in the past. So, and
a lot of money, a lot of ownership. Higher ownership than what you would expect. Kind of looking at this matchup.
Spread's 1.5. Spread's 1.5 to Denver. It's in Denver.
I want to see Russ continue to train. If they do win this one, though, I do see it on a late field goal, something like that. So the point spread makes sense. Denver with a field goal to win it.
I think Denver wins tomorrow too. I think that their defense against a rookie quarterback lends to a slower game. I think the 36.5 over under is probably pretty good, spot on. I think that. So sorry, Chandler, we kept you waiting this long. We finally going to get back to your Kansas City and Vegas game. Team with the highest over under or highest team score tomorrow is the Chiefs with 26. The total is 43. Obviously, they're giving half of it, over half to the Chiefs. I'm not. I mean, obviously, your chalk players. If you have Pat, you have Kelsey, you have to play them. No, Kadarius Toney is out. So because I think Chandler said something about no Watson. Mecole Hardman, no Jet McKinnon. So Watson's, I guess. Let me see something here. He's 8.25% owned. So Justin Watson is only 3,000. So there's your thing. That's not high. It's not terribly high. And we saw Patrick Mahomes force him the ball. But I also have seen that Patrick Mahomes will force Travis Kelce a ball when he has a bad game. He had a bad game last game. I feel like this could be turnaround. And Travis Kelce's only 9% owned tomorrow. So he's only the fourth highest owned tight end. And so I like Kelce tomorrow for sure against this Raiders filthy shit show that they have going on here. I thought Antonio Pierce was gonna do it, but I don't think you can overcome such of a one of those type shit shows that they've got going on there. I feel like this is going to end up being a not Antonio Pierce's show going forward. I think next season this can be a Jim Harbaugh job.
That would be definitely a possible transition for
they want a culture change. I think that's the guy you got to bring in to do it.
For this matchup, actually, I was looking at it for a potential start of the week, and Isaiah Pacheco. His last week or two hasn't been his strongest performance, but I believe he's sort of going to be on a get right, kind of do game here. I know sometimes when you come off of a loss, sometimes you get back to the basics, start running the ball a little bit more, kind of creating a little bit more balance in your run pass dynamic. And I think you might see a little bit more of that as we continue on here, to kind of create a little bit more attempts for play action, because I don't think that Pat Mahomes gets enough credit for his ability off the play action to create further pass plays down the field. So I just see in this type of a matchup as well, when you have a divisional opponent, teams also like to kind of start going back to that run game, take a little pressure off the quarterback, but also that's usually the best formula needed to win those games against a divisional opponent. So definitely had Pacheco potentially on the list. Also, kind of going back the other way, had Jacobs could potentially be sort of a chalky pick that might end up working out just for the fact that the Raiders have to go somewhere.
He's not super chalky tomorrow either. He's only 9%
Oh
owned.
wow!
Pacheco's the second highest owned at to over 20%. So,
And I think that there are some space for run effectiveness with the run game coming from against that Chiefs defensive line, that defensive front with a linebacker in front seven. And so I think that's definitely an area where they can attack and kind of work off of that with Devontae Adams in the pass game. But I just wonder with Aiden O'Connell how much they're willing to kind of do that. And so again, that just leads to more of a running back style performance. So you can't go wrong with those two tomorrow.
yeah, and then I don't really have any love for anybody outside of the usual suspects there in Kansas
Yep,
City. I mean,
I agree.
I feel like if you're trying to get somebody else forced into the passing game there in Kansas City, Rashee Rice is probably
That was
somebody who
one.
can get in. Like I felt like
Yeah, that was one I thought maybe.
the drops got to them there in Kansas City the other night. So, but I mean, even guys like Jacoby Myers is not. I don't think Jacoby Myers and I'm nowhere gonna spend my money on Devontae tomorrow just because I'm not gonna do it because it's just he's expensive. He's 7,800 for his value is just not there for me. It's just not. He's the fifth highest priced wide receiver when you can get guys like that. You're gonna can get guys like Tank Dell and even guys that aren't as high owned that have higher potential, like your Christian Kirk or your even guys like Amari Cooper, who we've seen has a little bit of rapport with DTR. So, and then somebody I said earlier, like Drake London. So I'm not touching Devontae tomorrow. I don't think it works.
What's the spread?
The spread is 9 points, Kansas City. 43 over under. I think Kansas City handles that, even though it's a division matchup.
I'll take. I'm actually gonna go Raiders for points, not for the win, just for the points. I think it's a little closer to 9 tomorrow. I don't know if they got it completely figured out offensively yet in Kansas City.
Yeah. All right. Last game on the slate. Highest over under at 48.5. Buffalo at Philly. The spread is 3 points to Philly. So here's a couple quick thoughts on ownership. Actually, let me go to some.
What's that injury report
Yeah.
looking like?
No Dane Jackson, the corner for Buffalo. No Taylor Rapp, backup safety for Buffalo. And then no Dallas Goedert. That hurts. No Grant Calcaterra, the second.
The other, tight end.
Yeah, the other tight end. Yeah. And then it looks like everybody else is full go. So where I was going ownership wise,
really hurts what you can do from a scheme perspective.
It hurts Jalen Hurts a lot. I could see him not have when he didn't have Dallas Goedert the other night. I felt like he was like, "What the hell am I doing?" Even
And then
I
from the
felt like that.
running game, even the running game, you need your tight ends there as well. That's very that makes me want to stay a little away from Swift but kind of stay
I
on
like
the
that.
Devontae Smiths and the AJ Browns tomorrow because I just don't know how comfortable I feel with the Swift though, with those tight ends because they set the edge or clear the edge, so depending on how that run scheme and the fit goes, and so that's a little worrisome.
The DeAndre, I think DeAndre, I like DeAndre Swift tomorrow. This is just my thoughts on the matter. Is even though the other night the ball was wet, it was soggy. I felt like DeAndre was kind of out of sorts. He even had that fumble or whatever it was, turnover. They still went back to him. I didn't see a lot of Kenny G. I didn't see a lot of Boston Scott. And of course, they just told Rashad Penny, bruh, sorry brought you in and told you we're going to be the guy. You were the plan, but we got the next best thing, right? We got the bet. We got something better. We got DeAndre Swift. And Buffalo's been shit against the run. They've been shit against the run. So I think that DeAndre Swift, he's only 9% owned. He's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th most expensive running back tomorrow. I think that you could play him tomorrow in DFS and be successful because the guys that are the two highest owned are right in the same price point as him, like Jonathan Taylor and Pacheco are like $700 around him, and then Derrick Henry is $6,400. So I think that Swift coming in at 6,800 and only 9% owned is not terrible. I like that. And of course, you've got on the other hand, Jalen Hurts is a running back himself. I mean, what I heard an analogy on Thanksgiving. If it's the freaking Eagles, you start first and 9. They don't start first and 10. They start first and 9 because they're gonna get a yard with the brotherly shove or tush push or whatever the hell they want to call it, right? Like that's given. That yard is given. So if they run it and don't be scared to run it, they just run the damn thing, they're gonna get that yard. So I like Jalen Hurts tomorrow. I am not sold on playing AJ tomorrow. I mean, he's a 4th highest owned wide receiver. I am going to go away from that. I would pivot and go to Devontae to try to get off of the AJ Brown chalk. And then on the other side, Stephon Diggs is only 10% owned, which is the same as Devontae when, like I said, AJ is up here at 15%. And then another step further, you want to get on super chalk Dalton Kincaid, who is a pseudo wide receiver there. He plays tight end, but he is a wide receiver, and we've seen him play wide receiver. He's 14% owned. He's the 3rd highest owned tight end tomorrow. Behind Trey McBride, Evan Ingram.
So I can see that. I saw the same thing with Kincaid as well. The matchup is very juicy, very spicy for a lot of potential target share, potentially even a red zone target. Given that I know they're going to try to take the Diggs away in that red zone, and so Gabe Davis, though, I mean, he's got to be. I mean, he's up on my list as far as your due game. He's been very quiet. These are the type of matchups again where they love to take away the number one. For both teams, they're going to attempt to do that, and potentially could be a little successful. This is where I like Kincaid. I like Cooks. Or James Cook. I like Gabriel Davis here from the Buffalo side. Again, just because I think they might try to truly get Diggs, and that doesn't mean that Diggs is going to have a horrible game from a fantasy perspective, but it may not be as strong as it normally is.
Everybody's on the Khalil Shakir train. Gabe Davis is down here with less than 1% owned. He's 5,300. And then you've got Khalil Shakir at 5% owned. He's 3,600. So obviously he's priced well below, but the Khalil Shakir is they saw that game. They saw him. It feels kind of like he's kind of jumped Gabe Davis in the depth chart.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, Gabe Davis is not like he's not the same type of wide receiver that Khalil Shakir is. Khalil
And I
Shakir is.
wonder if Gabe Davis, is a better run blocker, given his size, and so they might use him more so in the run game than they would Shakir, who wouldn't be so necessarily
Which to
successful.
me is like I don't feel like Shakir is cutting into Gabe Davis's production. I feel like Dalton Kincaid is the one that's doing that. I feel like Dalton Kincaid is the one that's doing it, not Shakir. Shakir is playing that Cole Beasley role when he was there in Buffalo.
Yep.
Or Isaiah McKenzie role when he was there in Buffalo. And I don't feel like that Dalton Kincaid is cutting into that type. Dalton Kincaid he can run every type of route. That's the thing. He's a tight end that can run every type of route, and he's not slow. He's pretty fast for a tight end. So it to me it doesn't bode well for Gabe Davis, but he could be, like you just said, you have spoken it into existence. I could see that this could be the game where, okay, you got to get somebody in behind him, and this is who's it's going to be. It's going to be Gabe Davis. So,
and watch out for Julio Jones tomorrow. This is a big matchup, man. And again, with those two tight ends out, I just don't think you scheme up a third tight end. Maybe you do, but I think you would probably feel more comfortable with scheming up Julio Jones, who's been in the offense a lot longer, and knows a little bit more about what's going on within the scheme. So watch out for him. Maybe I'm not saying a ton of production, but maybe watch out for a red zone target, maybe a couple more targets. Probably
I saw him. He was getting the ball. He was getting the ball way more than I ever thought he was. And he has basically put the kibosh on Olamide Zaccheaus. I mean, but that's Julio's only 3,300, and he is 1.62% owned tomorrow. So if you're reaching deep down in the barrel tomorrow for like for a milli maker type play, Julio could be
one of those picks.
Especially without
both sides are going to have to score.
Without a tight end, without pseudo tight end plays, Julio's a big enough body that he could bang. He can bang like a tight end can. He may not be able to block like a tight end, but he can bang like a tight end and run those big tight end body routes.
Yep, those intermediate routes would be perfect for him.
So like I said, it's 3 points to Philly in Philly.
All day Philly, fly Eagles fly, my hometown. I can't go against the birthplace.
I think that we see that Jalen Hurts and the tush push carries. Literally, he carries a whole team tomorrow, and they win. They pull it out. And again, like if you got players on Philly tomorrow, you got to play them.
Feels and has looked over this time as the more complete team. They have really good players in every single area, which is really hard to do in this NFL. And so, which shows the cases in their record. It's because they're a really good overall team. It's not that they have a really good offense or a really good defense. They have all of them. And so, it from that perspective, I know that the Bills have gotten a little bit more on track and gotten on more of a winning streak and found their way, but I just think that this Eagles team is a different beast, and see them getting a W tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is This is the Eagles tomorrow. This is an afternoon game. Everybody's going to be watching.
Oh yeah,
Again,
I
something
will
I would say, like
definitely.
if you're doing afternoon slate tomorrow, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of the chalk's going to be on this game. A lot of people are going to be on this game. Don't be afraid. And something that we kind of like glossed over a little bit. Something I said earlier. I feel like that the Bills have to get James Cook involved tomorrow for them to be successful. He's only 2.8% owned. Philly doesn't give up a lot of rushing yards, but James Cook does have the ability to catch passes out of the backfield too. He's not just a banger. So he's only 2.8% owned. So don't be afraid to trot him out if you can afford him tomorrow.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I know we usually don't talk
Any
about
other questions out there? Anything else out there?
Yeah. Oh, I do know that you said you have one more in your
Yes, I have one more
starter.
Keele Athletics Stardom of the week. I'm gonna roll out Justin Herbert tomorrow, and I know for some they say, well, that's pretty much guaranteed. But I would say when you're going against the number 2 defense in the Baltimore Ravens, there may be a little bit of trepidation on your part to feel comfortable about starting any quarterback. But I would say go ahead and roll him out. If anything, I was even going to say go ahead and roll out him and stack him with the Keenan Allen tomorrow. I just feel really confident about this matchup and the ability for those two to have a productive game, even against this
48
Baltimore
points
defense.
total.
If you really look at their fantasy points, um, they both had really great years, which is kind of surprising given the fact that maybe it's probably the coaching that's ended up burning them as far as for the win loss total. But from a fantasy perspective, they both have really great years. And Herbert has scored 24 points in 3 of the last 4 games. And so you can really see the production. And he's had multiple games where he scored over 30 points this year. And so again, it's just more so of a belief that even though it's that Baltimore's defense that is again really good, I still feel that you should still feel faithful in rolling out your Herbert, rolling out your Keenan Allen, and having success tomorrow, both in the season long and the daily fantasy perspective. So he will be my last one. Again, my 3 is Stevenson at New York Giants, Justin Herbert against the Baltimore Ravens, and then Deontay Johnson against the Cincinnati Bengals. So go Stardom.
Yes, sir. Well, like I said, it's 3. Just a quick thought: 3 points to Baltimore, 25.5 to 22.5 for Chargers. Total is 48.
And I'm gonna go Chargers actually to get the W.
Cover.
And I know it's a
Well,
shocker pick.
it's
A
in.
little shocker, but I'm gonna go against the
And
grain. It's so much been going right for them, Baltimore. But I think that Mark Andrews, man, that's bigger than what people want to put on. So.
well, I don't want to play like it's a lazy pick, but no Joey Bosa scares me for the Chargers.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Brandon
I
Staley
don't
kind of scares me too.
know. Yeah, I saw people saying he needs to go back to Division III, coaching Division III college or something, whatever he did. Man, I don't know, dude. Like I'm scared to pick this game. Like I feel like that it's I feel like this has got Justin Tucker right for 3 points at the end of the game written all over it, but that I don't know if them losing Mark Andrews is worth 3 points because we've seen Isaiah Likely kind of step into that bag before last season.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna look and see if there's any significant injuries at this moment to make me change my mind besides him. Zay Flowers is questionable. Odell Beckham is questionable. Marlon Humphrey is questionable. Trenton Simpson, the linebacker, is out with a concussion. Ronnie Stanley is questionable. And then on the Chargers side, Gerald Everett and Jalen Guyton are both questionable. And then, of course, Joey Bosa is on the IR. Man, I'll take the hot take. I'll take the hot take, and I'll ride the Chargers. It's in LA. It's late night. I think that it could be. It's either going to be a rough night for Lamar, or Lamar is going to shine like diamonds. So it's. I think that I think the Chargers win. I think the Chargers win. They need to make up some ground.
They do.
So with that being said, any more questions? Everybody, thanks for hanging in there with us. I know we didn't have Phil to give y'all some little bit funny person to look at the whole time we were here. Shout out to Phil. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will be
appreciate the love.
Back on Wednesday.
Please don't feel afraid of shooting us those stardoms. Questions. I love that, man. Love deciphering that, looking into that, analyzing it for you guys, and getting me some good feedback for you to make that decision. We want you guys to win. When you win, we win.
Yeah, so, definitely.
We really appreciate that. Appreciate the support. Please like the Facebook group. Again, if you have a question after this or during the week, don't be afraid to shoot us a line, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, I just popped the Facebook link into the chat. Join it so that you guys can have it and ask questions in there. Like I said, I do post the inactives and actives. I know, like I said, you guys can go find them anywhere you want to, but you can go to one place and look it up in the morning. It pops up on your Facebook feed and it's there. So come check us out, and we will catch you guys next week. Peace.